Here's how to read electrical drawings even if you've never opened a set of plans before. Electrical systems really have two fundamental purposes and two separate subsystems that reflect these purposes. We've got power, which is used to distribute energy through a building so we can turn the lights on or plug in an appliance. And then we've got communication systems, which is how we connect stuff to the internet, or in the old days, how we used to make telephone calls. The electrical system is made up of things like transformers, switchboards, distribution boards, cabling, outlets, and light fittings. Then the communication systems is made up of fiber, patch panels, media converters, and copper, cabling, and Cat6. Set of plans we're going to be going through is an upgrade to a building's existing electrical systems. It has layout drawings, it has single line diagrams, it has detailed switchboard and distribution board drawings, and it also has some communications layout and systems drawings at the back. It also has some schedules and control wiring diagrams. So we're going to go through each of these types of drawings and basically explain how they all fit together and how to make sense of it. So before we get into the specific plans and how to read and interpret the information shown on the plans, I just want to start by talking about the overall system and what are the core components of it. If you do have some fundamental understanding of electrical systems, then maybe this is going to be a bit simple. But if you are new to electrical at all, then I guess it's useful to understand what each of these symbols represent because they're the main components of our system. So the most important drawing in any electrical design is the single line diagram. Now, single line diagrams refers to the power system. I'll talk about the communications equivalent in a second, but really, the single line diagram shows you the overall power architecture for the system. Each of these symbols represents a specific bit of equipment. The lines between them are the actual cabling that connects them. Well, not necessarily cable. Again, might be bus bar. If you're talking about a substation, it might be something different. But in general, if we're talking about a building, this will be insulated cable that connects all these devices. So the first symbol you'll see if it is a large industrial project, but if it's a small residential or commercial project, you probably won't have a transformer because you'll be connecting to the street supply at low voltage. But if you have a high voltage connection to your building or facility, the first symbol you will see is a transformer. What a transformer does is it takes the high voltage or medium voltage connection point to the building, say 11 kV or 22 kV, and it steps it down to a usable voltage level. You can't connect your toaster at 11 kV because it's just going to be too dangerous. The equipment won't have enough insulation. It's not designed for it. So to get the power down to a level where we can practically use it within the building, we need to first step it down to what the power is going to be distributed in the building as. So we do that with a transformer. Now, this is a huge transformer. This is probably 132 kV to 11 kV, but really we'd probably have something much smaller that in this example, it's going from 11 kV to 400 volts. Those two circles represent the windings of the transformer. The star represents the configuration of the windings. The delta represents a separate configuration. Look, for basic overview, it doesn't really matter, but those windings represent a certain type of transformer. Now, the next thing we see is the power comes in from the street. It goes to a main switchboard. So this is the central hub of where the power arrives to the building. In practice, what a main switchboard is, it obviously has a metal casing around it, but all it is some huge bus bar, which is all at the same voltage level, and connected to those bus bars, we connect all the distribution cabling to the system. So the other thing that is housed in the main switchboard are isolators, so we can pull a switch and disconnect the power to the grid, or we also have our circuit breakers. So if there's a fault on our toaster, it trips the breaker closest to it so we don't lose power to the whole system. Connected to the main switchboard, so you typically have one major main switchboard for a facility, you will have metering, which is how the energy authority measures power. So maybe to make this a little bit more sense, I'll go to the main switchboard drawing and show what this is actually representing. So what this drawing represents is it represents the switchboard in the facility. It'll have, like I said, a big bus bar, which is just a big bit of copper, which is all at the same potential. The bus bar has a rating of what it can operate at, so 350 amps, and it has a fault level. If the fault level exceeds that, the insulation of the bus bar and the switchboard won't be possible. So within this main switchboard, we have circuit breakers. So circuit breakers are designed that if there is an overcurrent fault on the system, if our toaster, the wiring on the toaster touches the frame and it causes a fault to ground, there'll be a spike in current. That circuit breaker will trip to make the system safe. This switchboard also has a changeover switch. So what this means is this, you can see, is a generator that is connected to the switchboard. So if I go back to, you can see that is represented on the single line diagram, that when the power fails, you have, I don't know why that's gone blank. When the power fails and you lose the street supply, the generator would automatically start, or you could have a manual changeover. I'm not actually sure which one this is, but it'll close the, so if you actually look in the board, it's got non-essential and essential written here. What that means is you have when you lose power to the street, this breaker will open, that breaker will close. These loads will be disconnected because they're not essential to operating a system. So there might be some random external lighting or other stuff that's not important. Then you would also have another changeover switch which connects back to the transformer. Those would both open, and then these loads would be running off the generator. So you can see in this main switchboard diagram, we're seeing the overall operation of the system. Connected to each of these loads are either, you might have some loads that just directly connect to the main switchboard, like if you have large pumps, or in a lot of cases, lifts connect directly to the main switchboard. You have what is referred to as, that M is a meter. So that would measure power, and it could pass that on to the power authority so they can bill you. And then you have distribution boards. So distribution boards, again, basically this would have large cables running and connecting to it. Distribution boards just basically break that into smaller cables and circuits. So distribution boards are like local hubs, and you might have one per floor or multiple per floor. It depends a lot on how many loads there are in the building. But if you can imagine, it's much more cost effective to run one big cable to a distribution board that's on the 10th floor and then spread that out into a whole lot of little cables for the individual lights, than it is to connect 500 lights all to the main switchboard. It also helps with fault isolation and the overall system design. But when you look in your design, you'll have sort of the overall single line diagram, which shows you where the distribution boards are in the main switchboard. You'll probably have you have a detailed view of the distribution board. Then you might either have a typical arrangement for a distribution board like this, or you might have an individual drawing for every distribution board. It depends a lot on the design package, but sometimes they just give you a typical drawing and it tells you what circuits are connected to each. So what you'll notice when you look at both the main switchboard drawings and the actual individual distribution boards is they give you, let's go down to distribution board. They have either circuit breakers in them or they have isolators in them. So isolators are where we manually can disconnect the load. Circuit breakers are where it is automatically triggered by some sort of overcurrent protection. The rating on there is the normal operating rating for that breaker. So that is a 20 amp circuit breaker, when in the main switchboard, we had 120 amp breakers, because obviously it's a bigger load connected to it. You'll have circuit breakers in both the main switchboard and the distribution boards. Now, connecting all this stuff together, we obviously have cabling. All the cabling in a building, or 99% of it, is going to be insulated copper or aluminium cable. So this is where you have the actual copper core of the cable, which is carrying the current. Then you have some sort of plastic insulation around it, or you might have armored cables where they have sort of a steel white armor protection to the cable. Now, the single line diagram, in some cases will actually show the size of these cables. So for example, this one does, for example, it's just 16 millimeter cable. So that is the diameter of the cable. 4 core, meaning it has 4 core. Cu means it's copper. PVC, which means it's plastic insulated. SWA or SWA is steel wire armored PVC. So this one has a copper core, plastic insulation, steel wire armor around it, and then another plastic core. Sometimes they don't list the cables on the actual drawings. Other times they do, but sometimes they'll give you a cable schedule that accompanies the drawings, which is more useful because it tells you the lengths of all the cables. Now, weirdly, I've seen a couple of design packages where on the cable schedule, they don't nominate the length of the cable, which to me doesn't make any sense, because for them to size the cable to work out whether that has to be a 35mm or a 50mm cable, you need to know the length to know the size of the cable. So the lengths must exist. They must, to size it in any sort of design software, you need to know the length of the cable. So the lengths will exist somewhere. Now, The other type of wiring we'll have, which the cable is practically the same, conceptually the same type of design, but it is control cable. So that is for sending electrical signals. So for example, you might want your generator on your main switchboard to automatically start when the power drops off. The generator actually has to be sent a signal to auto start to tell it to start. So you would typically have control wiring diagrams that show how the generator auto start gets connected. Now, because our standard low voltage cables will be operating at 240 or 400 volts, depending if they're 2 or 3 phase, comms cable often operates at like 48 volts or 110 volts. So there's much less insulation around it. The other type of cabling we have is the communication cabling. So what basically distributes the internet, connects the CCTV cameras, the fire alarms. Again, the cable is more or less practically the same structure. You have the inner core, the outer sheath. They also have often comms cables have a metal sheath or screen for interference. And then you'll have some sort of similar sort of architecture. So some designs do this, others don't, where they will have an equivalent comms architecture, which is really the communications equivalent of the single line diagram, which shows you the overall architecture and connection of the system. Now, this isn't from a drawing. This is just an image of a typical building overview where you have incoming optical fiber. So optical fiber is where you have light transmitted as the medium, not copper. The reason that is more effective is because you can transmit signals for much longer distances. Some buildings will actually have fiber within the building, others won't. Depending whether you have fiber or not in the building, you'll have some sort of what's referred to as a fiber optic breakout tray where the fibers come in. Then you get fiber cords that connect to network switches. The network switches typically have a plug in them where you can plug fiber into the switch that gets turned into copper. So copper are like the Cat6 or the blue Ethernet cables that you connect to your computer. Those are then what distributes the actual internet throughout the building. So what this is really showing is, so what we're talking about so far is all about the components and how they will plug and connect to each other. The next thing we have to look at is how all these cables actually get from one spot to another, and that's through cable tray and conduit. So when we say cable tray and conduit, we're really referring to a broader category of items referred to as cable containment, and simply what cables sit on. So most electrical designs will give us layout drawings that show the cable containment. So this can be cable tray, which are long, almost ladders that cables sit in, which is what you commonly see installed in buildings hanging from the roof, or they can be installed in conduit. So conduit is just either plastic or metal pipe where you run cables through. For example, if you're installing stuff underground, it will be in conduit. Then we've also got our end devices. So typically the electrical design will only go up to the power outlet or the connection to the end device. You can have light fittings, which again are a big part of an electrical design. You can have outlets, so plug, like referred to as general purpose outlets, where you plug in devices, or you can have loads that are directly connected to the supply. For example, a large pump might be directly connected to the supply. You might have a lift that has its own termination point, or there'll be a small distribution board or termination box within the lift or fan or large items. Now, for distributing communication, you'll have communication outlets, and for fire alarms and fire, you will have the actual end devices typically shown on the design. So what does this all actually mean when you start to look at the drawings? Well, in the same as any design, you will have layout drawings, which are the architectural design with the electrical overlaid on top of it. You'll either have drawings like this, which show the actual position of all the power outlets. So you'd have to refer to the legend to look at and understand what the symbol is. But if you look at this, it's giving all the different types of power outlets. So if I just screenshot that and then go to this drawing, I can see that a blacked out light fitting with a plug like that is going to be a 16 amp switch. Then we'll also have drawings like this that will show us the cable containment and the actual light fittings on it. So if you go down to the legend, you can see that that is a motion sensor, a 6 amp switch. There's linear luminaires. So all these different symbols represent different devices. And the actual dashed line is, well, they're calling it the power skirting, but that would be like some sort of cable basket that the cables sit in. Depending on the type of job, some will show, I've been on seeing projects where they will have separate drawings for just the cable ladder. Others will just have separate drawings for the power layouts. But for example, in this project, they seem to have just combined everything together. They've got the end devices shown, the distribution boards, the position of them. They've got the cable ladder. They've got containment in the ceiling void, and so on and so forth. So typically, you would not see what's something you wouldn't see in a design is exactly, you wouldn't see the cable that connects that socket shown on the design. There would be some note on the drawing that everything would connect back to the closest distribution board, or you might have a distribution board schedule that lists out all the outlets connected to it. So in this example, they're just giving us layouts, and then they've also given us a fire detection drawing, which shows where the fire alarms are and how they all connect to each other. Then we've got our single line diagrams, which show technically the architecture and how everything fits together, the actual design of the board. So if you were purchasing these distribution boards, for example, DBGE, which must be, I'm not sure, GE must stand for some sort of like ground floor. This is the design drawing for that distribution board. So with that distribution board and the specifications in either in the project specs or the general notes, you would be able to procure that board and the circuit breakers in it. Now, at the back of this set of drawings, they've given us a schedule with all the light fittings in it. So this, on the layout drawing, they'll probably refer to an A1 fitting. Then we would go to the schedule at the back, and we can see an A1 fitting has these specifications. It is a 30 to 40 watt LED surface mounted. So they'll typically tell you the mounting and the specifications of the fitting. They've done this for column mounted lights, which must be outside because they're IP rated, fire alarms, and so on and so forth. They've also given us a schedule for the generator. So this is the supporting information for the generator, and the alarms for the generator. And what else are they giving us? More information for the generator, and so on and so forth. So schedules just provide supporting information, documentation that help you understand specific requirements of the components on the system. And really, it's not difficult. That would be sufficient information that you could go to an electrical contractor and they would be able to do a more detailed design and construction. The thing that is missing from this set is the cable schedule, which will give you the length of all the sub-mains and mains cabling, which is essential for ordering. But all the circuit cabling connecting to the light fittings and power outlets, there will just be a general note on the drawing specifying what size that is.